You are now listening to Podcast with a K, a podcast dedicated to legendary hip-hop duo OutKast, where I not only discuss all things OutKast, but all things Dungeon Family related too, and more. I'm your host, Dan, aka Dan Marr, and as they say, I'm here to take you deep, straight to the point, cause it ain't nothing but king shit, all day, every day. Today's topic will focus on the origins of OutKast, career highlights, and their ultimate impact on the music scene and culture. So join me for my intro to let you know. First, I wanted to introduce myself and why this dude named Dan from Connecticut, originally from New York, is doing a podcast on OutKast and the Dungeon Family of ATL, Georgia. I was 13 when I first remember hearing OutKast on the radio when Rosa Parks came on. I think I vaguely remember hearing Ain't No Thing when I was 9 or 10 in summer camp too, but really I didn't fully take notice of them until I was 15 and Stankonia came out. I liked them a lot, of course, but didn't become a fan until Speaker Box of Love Below blew me away. That masterpiece completely changed how I looked at things and ultimately made me go back and explore their first 3 albums. OutKast genre bending opened me up to so many new sounds and genres, and I listened to so much different kind of music largely as a result of OutKast expanding my horizons. Some of the acts that I was put onto by OutKast and were influences on them are acts as diverse as Kate Bush, Prince, P-Funk, to various acts from the Dungeon Family itself. Between 2003 and 2006, when Idlewild came out, I became obsessed and I started a Facebook group in 2006. Back then it was called Andre 3000 Fans, but was later renamed OutKast, Andre 3000 and Big Boy. We now have over 40,000 members and are the premier fan forum for all things OutKast and all things Dungeon Family related. And let's not forget the extended family and friends of the crew like Erykah Badu, TLC, and more. I have lots of stories to share around OutKast and my personal experiences related to them, like when I met each of them individually, which was amazing, and I'll delve into all of those and more of their history in future episodes. Today will just be me and an overview, but for future episodes we will dig deeper into topics, and I plan on bringing on fellow fans to discuss those topics, as well as experts, and hopefully one day maybe even some members of the DF. Fingers crossed. For today, though, as mentioned earlier, we are going to focus on the origins of OutKast, some career highlights, and their impact. So, it all started when Big and Dre met at the Lenox Square Mall in '92 when they were 16 after Big Boy moved from Savannah to Atlanta. Andre was living with his father at the time and soon after dropped out of high school to pursue his art and bring his talents to the world, while Big Boy honed his skills on the side while he finished school and graduated with a 3.7 GPA. They started as competing MCs, but soon joined forces to form one of the most potent musical forces the world has ever seen. They tried out group names like Two Shades Deep and Misfits, but none of them stuck. Since Misfits was already in use by a punk band, they went with the synonym OutKast and stylized it with a K in the place of the C. Not only did the group name evolve, but so did their individual MC names. They considered going by Black Dog and Black Wolf before settling on Big Boy and Dre, respectively. Of course, Andre would famously change his name again from simply Dre to Andre 3000 with the release of their 4th album, Stankonia. This was done as Dr. Dre's fame was surging again in the early 2000s, and Andre wanted to differentiate himself from the Good Doctor. At the time, everything was paired with 2000 at the end to make products seem more cutting edge. But Dre was so cutting edge, he was ahead of even that, so he went with 3000. It's like the Black Eyed Peas once said, perhaps inspired by Andre 3000 himself. He was basically so 3008 and everyone else was 2000 and late. Now, before we go any further, it is worth noting the numerous other monikers Big and Dre went by over the years or referred to themselves as in their music. Now, bear with me here as this is very tongue-twistery. First, we have Andre Lauren Benjamin, aka Dre, aka Andre 3000, aka 3000, aka 3, aka 3 Stacks, aka Ice Cold, aka Benjamin Andre, aka Possum Aloysius Jenkins, aka Dookie Blossom Gang III, aka Love Pusher, aka Johnny Vulture, aka Camilio Salamander, aka Cupid Valentino, aka Sonny Bridges, aka Percival Jenkins, aka PJ, aka Bill Bixby, aka Ben Hamen, aka Benjamin, aka Black Wolf, aka the Funk Crusader. As for the other half, we have Antoine Andre Patton, aka Twan, aka Big Boy, aka Big, aka Francis the Savannah Chitlin Pimp, aka Daddy Fat Sacks, aka Sir Lucius L. Leftfoot, aka the son of Chico Dusty, aka Billy Ocean, aka Rooster, aka Freddie Floater, aka General Patton, aka Hot Tub Tony, aka Black Dog, aka Sylvester the Unskippable.
Break!
Whew. Now that I got all of that out, back to the beginning. Organized Noise, the production team of Rico Wade, Ray Murray, and Sleepy Brown discovered OutKast, as well as Goody Mob and other Gen 1 DF members like Witch Doctor and Cool Breeze. I have heard word that originally they even considered having OutKast as a trio with Big and Dre as well as CeeLo Green. Now that would have been an epic trio, but OutKast ended up just the way they were intended, and CeeLo would go on to success with OutKast's brother group, Goody Mob, and eventually solo success. LaFace Records, headed by L.A. Reid and Babyface, took notice of OutKast and Organized Noise as they were searching for hip-hop acts to diversify their R&B label and sign them. Their first project was to make a Christmas song for the LaFace Christmas album, but OutKast wasn't feeling the idea and were worried it would torpedo their career and destroy any street cred before it even started. But they decided to take the challenge and made a realistic Christmas song called Players Ball about what Christmas was like in their neck of the woods. And what do you know? It went to #1 on the rap charts. To build off of the success of their first hit single, they settled into the basement of Rico Wade's mother's house, aka The Dungeon, which is where the name of their collective, The Dungeon Family, originated. And it truly was a family affair as they all worked together collaboratively, OutKast, Organized Noise, Goody Mob, and more, and recorded OutKast's debut album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, which came out on April 26, 1994, 2 days after my 9th birthday. We will cover the entire album in more depth in a future episode. But that success of that album led to LaFace granting OutKast more creative freedom on their next album, ATLiens. Because of this freedom and their adventurous and experimental nature, over the years with each subsequent album they pushed the envelope further and experimented more, throwing everyone for a loop each time. The first big shock was ATLiens, which traded in some of their more traditional hip-hop themes of the previous album for more conscious lyrics and otherworldly themes. This approach was quite literally alien to the rigid hip-hop mindset at the time, but they were key to opening minds and blazing a new adventurous trail for the genre and music at large. Their third album, Aquemini, brought it back down to earth but kept the astrological aspects, kind of like a blend of the best aspects of the two previous albums. Then with Stankonia, they threw everything they knew into the wood chipper and reinvented themselves with an even more genre-bending and dancey, funky sound. It became their biggest album yet, delivering more #1s and a slew of awards from hip-hop and mainstream organizations. They were even the first artist to ever win a BET Music Award at their first ceremony. Then they released what would become their biggest album, Speaker Box The Love Below, which would go on to win a ton of awards and accolades, including Album of the Year at the Grammys, making them the only rappers to ever win the honor still to this day, unless you count Lauryn Hill's more R&B-oriented album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. OutKast is also, as far as I know, still one of only a few artists to ever immediately replace their own song at #1 on the Billboard charts with Hey Ya and The Way You Move. The only other artists I know of to have achieved this feat are the Beatles and the Black Eyed Peas. Each album topped the success of the previous, so how would they top this world-shattering album? They would make a companion movie to go with their next album. Idlewild would not be the big success they were hoping for, but the music was no less brilliant or groundbreaking. They were more experimental and ambitious than ever. Every one of their albums went platinum, meaning each album sold at least 1 million copies, and most went multi-platinum. Speaker Box The Love Below, however, went diamond, meaning it sold at least 10 million copies, making it one of the rare hip-hop or any genre albums for that matter to ever earn the honor. They racked up multiple #1 and top 40 hits on the Billboard Top 100 chart and Hip Hop chart. They've been nominated for over 75 awards and won over 25 of them, including Best Rap Album at the Grammys for Stankonia and Speaker Box The Love Below, and their biggest award, Overall Album of the Year at the 2004 Grammys for Speaker Box The Love Below. They also made many groundbreaking music videos, mostly with the help of video director Brian Barber, winning Best Video of the Year at the 2001 MTV Video Music Awards for Miss Jackson and in 2004 for Hey Ya. And they hold 3 of the top 500 albums of all time, according to Rolling Stone, 2 of which are in the top 100 and one of those which is in the top 50, that album being Aquemini, but Stankonia and Speaker Box The Love Below being the other 2. From the little bit I just covered, they obviously had a very successful career, and we miss their presence on the music scene immensely, but their legend lives on, and they have helped to spawn a number of successful artists as mentors and collaborators, including such successful artists as Killer Mike of Run the Jewels, Janelle Monáe, Future, and more. That's not to mention artists they inspired through their music and bold vision like Childish Gambino, Frank Ocean, Kanye West, Big Crit, T.I., Ludacris, Tyler the Creator, Drake, and more. While all that I just went through is history, OutKast, Big Boy on His Own, and the Dungeon family keep making more history. So before I sign off for this installment of podcast, I wanted to bring you up to date on some current news. Many of you may have heard that recently Big Boy purchased what used to be Rico Wade's mother's house, aka the Dungeon, and renovated it. He made it available for a limited time to fans to rent the historic location as an Airbnb for overnight stays. While you're there, you can receive a tour of the dungeon section of the house, which is otherwise off limits to visitors, and I'm sure it's amazing to just be where the greats got their start. As I mentioned, this is a limited time opportunity because after it's run as an Airbnb, it will be turned into a Dungeon Family museum we will all be able to visit. It's too bad many of us, including myself, missed out on staying there, but at least one day we will all still be able to visit that hallowed ground. About a week ago, Big Boy did a big show at the Red Rocks in Colorado along with Wu-Tang and the Colorado Symphony, and it looked to be a big hit. It looked sold out, and I hear the show was incredible. Big Boy is following up this show with a string of shows all over to support his upcoming collaboration album with Sleepy Brown, The Big Sleepover. Do a quick Google search to see if he's coming to perform around you. I've seen him live a few times, and he always puts on a killer show. This week, as I record this, on August 27th, marks the 25th anniversary of the release of OutKast's second album, ATLiens. To commemorate it, they are releasing a deluxe version of the album, which will include instrumentals of some of the best tracks. While it would be nice to hear some unreleased tracks from those sessions, it's still nice to see ATLiens get a little love with a new vinyl release and some much-deserved attention and recognition. And finally, next week on 9/3, Big Boy and Sleepy Brown will finally be releasing their long-awaited collaboration album, The Big Sleepover, right on the heels of the 25th anniversary of ATLiens. We've heard a few singles trickle through over the months, but it will be nice to finally have the whole album to jam out to. I'm sure there will be more big news to report on next time, but for now, those are some of the highlights, and I hope all of you get a chance to visit the Dungeon, see Big Boy and Sleepy Brown live, reminisce over the 25th anniversary of ATLiens, and go out and get that new Big Sleepover album. Now I just want to thank you so much for listening to my first podcast with a K. If you have any suggestions or requests for future episodes, please feel free to reach out as I want to make this just right for the cast community. In the next episode, I'm thinking we will cover the first album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, in more depth and explore the other albums in more depth too in future episodes, not to mention episodes dedicated to other Dungeon Family members and other adjacent topics. So please check back soon for more content, and thank you again for listening.
Break!